up, guys? What's up, guys? And welcome to another video. And we will be recapping Knicks vs. Celtics, Knicks vs. Pacers, and some stuff I saw around the NBA this week. Now, there's actually a lot of notes. I didn't think there was gonna be a lot of notes because it was just a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday type thing for me. But there's a lot of notes, and I cannot wait. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which is not a lot of days, it's 4 days, but there's some notes I got. Let's start with the Knicks notes because that's the stuff we want to talk about. Start the video with this. Bridges to guard Tatum, which I think is going to be very weird to see how Thibodeau matches up the wings um, of other teams when we see wings like Siakam, see wings like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. We see wings like Jalen Williams from the OKC Thunder, like those type of wings. When we see them, who's gonna guard what? So it was great to see the first game Bridges guarding Tatum, and they kind of switched it OG guard Tatum. So it was a little bit of both. Let's see how Thibodeau feels about them as wing duo. So you can guard who's better against who, and we'll see that as we get through the season. That'll be something that Thibodeau really monitors, just who's guarding who. So that's gonna be fun to watch the whole entire season. Knicks drop coverage, pros and cons. Cons were this game, the first game in the NBA season. Knicks were running drop coverage. So when you try to run drop coverage, you're trusting those wings to get over screens, which we know that Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby are two of the best guys getting over screens. You can see other players in the league like a Jalen McDaniels. Jalen McDaniels for the Timberwolves are one of the best guys of getting over screens. And that's why the Timberwolves play him a boatload of freaking money because he does that type of stuff, gets over screens defensively, and he also does an offensive game. So I know I was gonna be shouting out Jalen Williams, but I think that is what Jalen McDaniels, and that is why they give him that much money. So when you want to run a drop coverage like this, you're gonna have to have your wings fight over those screens because your defender, which is gonna be Cat or Porty or Jericho Sims, he's gonna be back and drop. So you're gonna have to fight over that screen enough where you can put a hand up because that center's not going to come up and help you. That center's not going to come up and hedge. You're going to have no help. So you got to try to get over that screen as best as possible. I think effort goes into that. You got to have some effort. You cannot get crushed by screens, especially if it's only Al Horford. But yeah, you got to be able to get over a screen of Al Horford. I think that's number one. Can't get over screens of Al Horford and Luke Cornett. You cannot be just dying on screens of Al Horford and Luke Cornett. You cannot do that. That just is not happening. I know Jason Tatum's a good shooter and stuff, but you got to be able to get over that. Because if you let Jason Tatum get a little bit of room, we saw it today, 37 points. I thought he hit every single three he took. Same with Derek White, same with Jaylen Brown, just amazing for them. They knocked down the three ball at an amazing clip, and they also didn't get any contests on them either. So it wasn't like, okay, it was just a game where the Celtics were making a bunch of threes. Knicks could not contest anything. So now that's a big thing there. First sub is Karl-Anthony Towns for Jericho Sims. Jericho Sims for me is a player that I don't really know how to judge because he could be a bad center at times. I'm gonna be honest with you, he could be a very bad center that just doesn't give you anything. He can't rebound, he can't defend. But in these games, like the game against the Pacers, he looked pretty good. He looked like he was guarding the pick and roll fine. It gave us a different kind of look where he was trying to hedge the pick and roll and keeping the ball in front of you. I think there was a play where McBride was guarding somebody. I think it was TJ McConnell. Isaiah Jackson tried to go set the screen. Jericho Sims kind of hedged it, made TJ McConnell pick up the ball. He shot a mid-range shot. I don't know if it was TJ actually, but it was a guard. Made the guard pick up the ball. He had a tough shot. And he missed it. So those type of things, that's why Jericho Sims is so valuable. He's also versatile. He can guard perimeter ball handlers. So that's where he is very his usage is very valuable. But for some games he just looks like crap. So but I think there's going to be a big medium that the Knicks are going to have to find with Jericho Sims of when to use him, when's the right time to use him, and how do we use him? Because the Knicks are going to have to figure that out with Preston Chu out for these next few games, and also Mitchell Robinson not being out till January, not being back till January or February. So the Knicks are going to have to figure that one out. Have the Knicks ever seen a pick and roll this season in their life? I don't know. I think that's the thing about defensive chemistry. As much as we talk about, is Jalen Brunson and Cat going to be run the right pick and roll offensively? Jalen going to have to learn how to get Cat in spots and stuff. Yes, that's fine. I understand that. That's chemistry. But defensive chemistry is huge. Like, Do you know what OG likes to do off the ball? Does Mikal Bridges know what OG likes to do? Does OG know the? Does Mikal know the rotations? Does Cat know the rotations that he wants to do? Does does Landry Sham not Landry Sham? Does Campaign how to scramble on defense with Dibs? I don't know. There's stuff they're gonna have to really learn, and it's gonna take them a long. It's gonna take them not. It's not gonna take them overnight. They're gonna have to learn that through the games. I think progression. I'm not talking about the Indiana Pacers game, but they got better. So you could see a progression of how they rotated. I think there was one possession in this game where they rotated perfectly. It ended with a deuce block or I think it ended with an OG block on Tyrese Halliburton. So it was just a great defensive possession. So if the Knicks can put those defensive possessions together and they can progress, you saw the progression from game 1 to game 2 defensively. That's going to take some time. It's not going to take overnight. But the Knicks have shown they're willing to get better and they're willing to bounce back. Um, my, let's talk about more Knicks. Let's talk about more of the Pacers game. The cat post touches. The cat post touches are going to be so important for the Knicks this season. They're going to be very important because of how the offense may get stagnant with all the offensive chemistry trying to get together. You could just feed Cat in the post. You just say everybody get the way we're feeding Cat in the post, and the way Cat's used, he can be used as the guy who just posts up, can draw to, can kick out, or he can just go to school in the center. Monster is a very good defensive center. He went right over him and shot a post up. It was too easy for him. So that's just showing you the skill set Cat has, and the skill set the Knicks gave up to get Cat. And it just shows you the fruits of their labor of getting Karl-Anthony Towns on this team, where you can just dump him down the ball and he can just draw too, like you're giving Jalen Brunson the ball. It's just exactly the same thing, but it's just he's getting the ball in the post and having to make the decision for the post, where Jalen Brunson's having to make the decision for the perimeter. So I think it's just different, but it is the same kind of thing with Cat and Brunson, where they can just run their whole entire offense with them. But I think it's great to see just giving Cat the ball, let him go to work, and let him draw two. And I don't think he drew a lot of two, but he's going to do that as the season gets progressed and the scout report gets on him. That the Knicks love to post him up these type of possessions. Bang, bang, bang. They're going to draw two, and Cat's going to make a play. I think I trust Cat making a play out of those double teams. Defense looked better in game 2. I think I talked about that a little bit. It's just defense is progressing. That's all you can ask for. And just the effort. The effort looked way better. They don't look like he shot away from anything. They looked like they were just everybody's stinkers were squealing, as Clyde Frazier like to say. But I think that's honestly a great analysis, because you gotta that's the way to look at effort. Is the sneaker squealing? Is everybody rotating the right way? Can you see that? And that might sound like bland analysis, but it's great analysis, because that's the way to kind of evaluate defense right now. Is it the sneaker squealing? Are they moving in the right way? And I think the Knicks moved in a great way defensively. They had a great I think let's look at the defensive rotation they had. And let's look at who's on the floor, because there was a big time defensive possession for the Knicks where you had OG on the floor. You had just a lot of players on the floor that are new. So let's look at that. I want to look at that right now. I don't know. I, yep, this is it. Mikal, Cat, Josh Hart, OG, and Jalen Brunson were just on this defensive possession where they're just on this team. They got over pick and rolls. They rotated well in the swing passes. So that's a lineup that haven't really been together a lot. You got Mikal, you got Cat in the lineup. Like, that's a weird lineup. Those two have not played together ever in their lives. Preseason games in the first game. So that's just telling you the progression through games and how they have just learned how to move defensively. I think you are going to see this team at their highest level soon. This is not their highest level right now. The way they beat down the Pacers is not their highest level. They're going to get even higher when they get locked down every single possession. They know what to do. That's just my optimism right now for this Knicks team. McKelvin just bounced back. For the shot, the hitch, I don't know how to think about that. It's obviously you got to trust the guy. The guy has shot 37% for his whole entire career. You can get kind of nervous when he starts hitching like that and the shot doesn't fall. But if it falls, it falls, and it fell in game 2. And in game 2, he looked like he was getting to a spot. He was hitting those mid-range shots, feeling comfortable on that offense, not just sitting there catching and shooting. not just sitting there biting his nails and just shooting. He didn't bite his nails, but you get what I mean. He wasn't just able to just drink a cup of coffee in the corner and just sit there the whole entire game. No, he was actually with the ball in his hands. He was creating plays. But the Knicks are gonna have to have Jalen Brunson's not gonna have to. Jalen Brunson's not gonna have to. Jalen Brunson isn't gonna have to like dribble every single possession. That's great. When you have a player like Mikal Bridges, take that pressure off of Jalen Brunson, which the Knicks need to, and get the ball to Mikal Bridges and have him create his play. And he's money from that mid range. He's money. Um, so that's all the Knicks stuff I can cover. All the Knicks notes I have. So let's get into some NBA notes as a whole, because that's huge. I mean, the NBA just started, and I have a lot of notes. Let's start with the Miami Heat versus Magic. The Magic look great. I'm gonna talk about them later. But the Miami Heat, man, really? Like, your two best players did not get involved at all. I think Kenny Beecham said something like Haywood Highsmith had more time of possession than Jimmy Butler. Like, that's crazy. Like, you cannot have that because the Celtics and what people are trying to base their team off is the Celtics. They have those players. Yes, they run a 5-out, but they have players at every single position. They can drive in and create penetration and kick out. When your players aren't getting to the paint, you cannot get those 3-point looks. When Jalen Brunson is not, when Jimmy Butler is not attacking comfortably and getting inside, getting his shots up in the paint, defense doesn't need to react. Defense just put their hands in their pockets. Because we're fine with Duncan Robinson coming off screens because there's no real penetration and there's no real scramble mode for this team. And we can guard that Duncan Robinson off screen way better than we can if Jimmy Butler gets down in the paint and he draws too. And there goes a kick out to Terry Rozier. There goes a kick out Tyler Hero for a wide open three. They're going to knock it down. You see, Tyler Hero and Terry Rozier are two great 3-point shooters. And you wonder why the Miami can't shoot because they're not getting those penetration looks. They're not getting inside the paint. They're not getting those paint touches. I think those are very important. Like, even the Knicks, who are running this 5-out offense, they have players. Like, they have a Mikal Bridges who can get inside the paint. They have Jalen Brunson who can get 2 feet inside the paint. They even have a cat who you can give the ball to, and he automatically gets inside that paint. So they have players. Miami just aren't looking like that type of team. Is the Nuggets championship window closed? I think obviously it is not, but I think there's a lot of stuff we can talk about the Nuggets. 3-point shooting. Obviously, look down the roster. Do you really have? I think it's just Julian Strawther and Michael Porter Jr. who I trust to knock down threes right now, and that's really not going to work if you have a big guy down low. We talked about Karl-Anthony Towns. I'm going to keep going to it. He can draw too. The only reason he can do that, the only reason I can feel comfortable with him drawing too, is that we have great shooters. OG Anunoby, Deuce McBride, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson out there for 3. But if Jokic draws too, Christian Braun, Russell Westbrook, like, okay, like, that's fine. I would rather just double Jokic to the point. I'd rather triple Jokic. But yeah, that's the difference between when I tell Cat draw doubles to Jokic drawing doubles. Is that the shooters around him? I think it's just obvious. The shooters around him. But yeah, this is a big contrast to teams like the OKC Thunder, who have 5 shooters out there at all times until they get Isaiah Hartenstein back. And when Isaiah Hartenstein comes back, they'll feel fine. They'll be okay with not having 5 shooters on the court. But they have 5 shooters on the court, and I think that's the way that the team is going. And they also have penetration, as we talked about the Miami Heat knocking those 2 feet in the paint. They have guys like Jalen Williams, and also when Jokic comes off the court, Jamal Murray just somehow is just not doing the great things that we think Jamal Murray can do, that we think second options will do. When Jalen Brunson comes off the court, we're gonna have to have a Mikal Bridges type game. Whether Mikal Bridges run the team or Deuce McBride, something like that. But Jamal Murray just didn't run the team the right way, and that's kind of weird because you have teams like the Thunder when Shea comes off the court, here comes Jalen Williams. When Jalen Williams comes off the court, we're gonna run offense through Chet and stuff like that. But it's just like The Thunder don't. I mean, the Nuggets don't have that guy when Jokic comes off the court that you trust right now. It's supposed to be Jamal Murray, but for now, it's really not looking that way. Um, Big season for Onyeka Okongwu and Dyson Daniels coming back up. The Hawks are fun again. When they have those guys like Dyson Daniels, the defensive guy, that guy who gets in the passing lanes, it's trouble. Definitely next to Trey, that's trouble for other teams. If Dyson Daniels can knock down a 3-point shot, it's gonna be trouble. And Onyeka Okongwu, he was always a guy who I rooted for because once he got in the league, it was like a click of pellets in front of you. Make the most in the time you get. And he did. He didn't put up the stats that were like glaring. Like you didn't see him every single day and be like, oh my god, Onyeka Okongwu, 30 points, 10 rebounds. Oh no. Like we're gonna start the guy immediately. He never did that. But it was always the thing that like Onyeka Okongwu made the most out of his minutes. He was a high pick. And I was rooting for him. And now he's getting this opportunity with Clint on his decline, and Onyeka Okongwu in his kind of prime, getting his prime development in, and we can see him having a big year. I think he's primed for a big year. He's really in for a big year. And same with Dyson Daniels. We'll talk about them more as we get more games on them. I think I'm kind of just touching the surface on them because we got to get more games on them. Paolo Banchero obviously is ridiculous. What else is there to say? He's physical. He has the ball handling skills. He's the number one option. Like he's the man. He's the man. We can talk about the playoffs for him in Game 7 with a team on the elimination game. Gave him the ball. Get out of my way. I'm getting you 30. That's a player that the Magic haven't had in a long time, and they built the right team around him. They have KCP. Do they have? They have KCP. They have Gary Harris. They have those 3-point shooters. But now they have to put it all together, and Banchero is the right guy to put it all together with. And I think they're in a great situation. Also, Franz Wagner is second option. Like, look, they're another team where Paolo Banchero goes off the court. You have a Franz Wagner. Franz Wagner can go crazy. Like, Paolo Banchero can go off the court, and you can still feel comfortable with Franz Wagner and his brother, Mo Wagner. You feel very comfortable. But other teams, like the Nuggets, when Jokic comes off the court, not compare Jokic to Paolo Banchero, but you get the point. When Jokic comes off the court, you're really not feeling the same friction. Like you're really not. You can just take advantage of that very easily. And it was always a thing for the Nuggets, but it's glaring this season. It's very glaring this season with the lack of shooting. It's getting even more glaring. DeJounte Murray just sadly fractured his hand. Hopefully he's back and ready because he was very important. Like I want to talk about him really, really briefly, but he was important for this team because they haven't had a real point guard in a long time. It was a lot of CJ McCollum take the ball up. Herb Jones can dribble a little bit. Zion Williams point Zion. Point Zion was great. Don't get me wrong. But you're always going to have to go back to, you want to make a noise in the West. They obviously do. You have to have that real point guard. You have the point guard that sets you up. And DeJounte Murray, even though he didn't shoot well, just the presence of him, just the able to see that defense, diagnose that defense. The Pelicans haven't had that guy in a long time. So, in his defense, obviously, on the other end of the court was way better than he was with the Atlanta Hawks. So you're gonna see that through the season. You're gonna see how important he is. But I mean, it's kind of weird seeing fracture his hands. He may be back, but for now they're gonna have CJ at the one again. We're gonna see kind of the same Pelicans team. They'll be fine. I think they're gonna try to tread over water. But I think they'll be fine. Evan Mobley. We waited for this a long time. Is this leap coming? Like, is this leap really about the form? We can look at his last game. It was last night. I don't want to be a stat watcher, but I'm not watching the games. I'm not watching their game like fully. I'm just gonna look at the stats here and see what he averaged. And I get to Evan Mobley, 16 points, 6 for 12 from the field. They're trying to get him the ball, and I think that's big because always out of the league, I felt like Evan Mobley was gonna stick because of how well he is a versatile defender and how much the league needs those right now on those switches when you're trying to run a heavy scheme of switches, and you can really do a lot with Evan Mobley on the defensive end. He can be a defensive player of the year candidate. I said it, he can be one of those players. So once you get an offense intact, I think you're getting yourself a very good player. But the offense has always been a question, and if he can get that offense right, he's gonna be a tough for the Eastern Conference forwards to really go up against him. The Bulls, man, the Bulls are really good. The Bulls are really good offensively. Offensively, with Zach LaVine locked in. This is a Zach LaVine I haven't seen in a long time, in the last like 2 years. He's locked the hell in. He's locked in. He's maybe he wants to play to get out of Chicago, but he's locked in. Kobe White breakout. Obviously, we saw this coming. I mean, you could have your mama could have known that Kobe White was going to break out. And Lonzo's back. Lonzo's back. Great to see him back. You also have Giddey. You have a lot of guards. So a lot of flexibility, a lot of ball handling, and that's very hard for other teams to guard. I think it's just simple act of having just a bunch of ball handling is very hard for other teams to guard. That's all I have on the Bulls right now. Bucks can't guard. I mean, we obviously Doc Rivers and the Bucks just cannot guard. You got Gary Trent Jr., but you still cannot guard. So it's just, this Bucks team just gave up on trying to guard the teams, and they got dominated by teams like the Bulls because the Bulls have a bunch of ball handlers, and the Bucks cannot guard that. So that's just obviously we talked about the Bulls, but we can obviously talk about the Bucks, and we can see the contrast. The Bulls are going to beat teams like the Bucks because the Bucks cannot guard, and the Bulls have a bunch of guards. So that's easily kind of the thing, right there in that game that happened last night, where the Bulls beat the Bucks 133-122, despite an amazing Giannis game. AD's playing ridiculous. We know when this guy's healthy, he's an MVP candidate, point blank, period. And also, let's talk about JJ Redick here. He is a coach of the year candidate, in my opinion, for these first two games. That is no overreaction. I get it. I understand that 100%. But the way he trusts this rotation is something that Darvin Ham didn't do. And he trusts his rotation so much that he'll be fine by just like saying, D'Lo, 5 points, don't care about your money, don't care about your contract, don't care about nothing, don't care about if I want to trade you. No, I don't care. Get Gabe Vincent in this game. I trust my rotation. I trust what Rob Pelinka did in the offseason. I trust my players, and you can see the kind of uptick in production from each player, knowing their coach really trusts in that rotation night in, night out. And I think that's just great stability. I think they're gonna have stability. They just need stability at the head coach position, and I think they have it with JJ Redick in the way they can run an actual offense, which really gets with the modern NBA where they can actually run an actual offense. JJ Redick's one of the best coaches to do that. We can run an actual offense now. That's what they're feeling. So it's great for the Lakers. Great for the Lakers. Lakers are going to be a very good team this season because they run an actual offense. And they're not going to have something like Darvin Ham who puts his hands in his pockets, doesn't know what the hell to do. So they're going to have an actual coach. Shout out Darvin Ham, though. Mikel, yeah, I mean, that's all it. I mean, that's all I have. That's all I have. Great first week of the NBA season. Great weekly recap. If you are as big of a Knicks/NBA fan as I am, this is the content for you. Each week I'll be pumping out content like this. So if you're a Knicks/NBA fan like me, make sure to subscribe. This is the channel for you. So make sure to like and subscribe. Peace out. Have a nice day.